In the opening scene of Shinji Somai's 1993 film Moving, 13-year-old Renko is sitting at dinner with her mom and dad at an oddly triangular table. The table itself, a symbolic choice, no doubt, and one that establishes the composition of a family narrative so simple in its structure: a mother, father, and daughter. And yet, something hangs in the air in this scene. Already, we're left with questions as to what's going on here exactly. And we quickly realize that this is the last meal they're having together as a family, and that the real story here is about a wife at odds with her husband and the fate of a family. Shinji Somai was a Japanese film director primarily active through the 80s and 90s, and is widely regarded amongst the Criterion crowd as top 10, possibly top 5 film directors to come out of Japan. Most notable in his catalog is his 1985 film Typhoon Club, a powerful film about a group of teenagers locked in their school unsupervised during a typhoon. This is your classic teenage angst rebellion film. Think Breakfast Club or Dazed and Confused, or more recently a movie like Mid-90s. And it was evident when Somai was making Typhoon Club that we had a visionary director capable of rendering these very powerful, slow, brooding sequences that really explores the edges of what's possible when telling a coming-of-age story. And it wasn't until 8 years later, when he released this film, Moving, in 1993, that he started to reach international attention. Moving was submitted to Cannes Film Festival and received Un Certain Regard, and really put Somai on the map as, one of the groundbreaking visionaries to be coming out of Japan at the time. Many filmmakers in Japan still to this day hold Somai in very high regard. Recently, Ryusuke Hamaguchi, director of Drive My Car and Wheel of Fortune and Fantasy, has said this about Somai: "I can say with absolute conviction that no Japanese filmmaker makes a film without being conscious of Shinji Somai's existence. That is how significant Somai's presence is in the history of Japanese cinema." However, his international recognition does not meet this expectation. Moving easily comes off as one of the more grounded works in his filmography, if not the most grounded. I can't help but wonder if that's attributable most to the screenwriter, actually. So the original story is actually based off of a novel, but the screenplay was adapted by famous screenwriter Satoko Okudera, a longtime collaborator of famous animation director Mamoru Hosoda. Satoko is credited as writing some of his most seminal works, including Girl Who Leapt Through Time, Wolf Children, Summer Wars. And it's actually interesting kind of knowing that fact, because going back to Moving, you kind of see those sort of reverse echoes, films that really explore the complexities of interpersonal relationships, families, friendship. We see that here in Moving, where we don't see it to the same effect in films like Typhoon Club. I really do think that Satoko really grounded Somai's more abstract storytelling in a story that really kind of both evokes lots of emotion, but also allows the film to tell a really important story about what it means for a family to undergo this kind of change and how children can make sense of it. At its heart, Moving is a divorce film. One immediately thinks about films like Kramer versus Kramer, Marriage Story, Crazy Stupid Love, Mrs. Doubtfire. But unlike those films, Moving really couches the story from the perspective of the child. Renko is this super weird kid, to say the least, but she really, her weirdness makes the film more believable. I think if the film had kind of this expected child character, it probably wouldn't have had the impact that it did. But Somai really allows the actress here, Tomoko Tabata, to play Renko in just a completely free, scriptless way. The film stays in this whimsical vein, following Renko as she deals with her melancholy. But this film is actually kind of interesting because it came out at a time when there was still very much a stigma around divorce in Japan. And it's present in how Renko's friends treat her and how she starts to become this pariah, becoming friends with another girl in her class whose parents also got divorced. And it kind of underscores that divorce is still kind of very much a taboo at this time. In any case, this is a film that I highly recommend, especially if you're a fan of Japanese cinema. It's a gem of a film. If you really, really enjoyed, Ryusuke Hamaguchi's Drive My Car, or if you really enjoyed the films of Hirokazu Koreda, Our Little Sister, Shoplifters, this is a film that you should definitely add to your watch list. I can't recommend it enough. Anyway, that's all. Watch this movie. It's super cool. Check it out. Peace.